All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on Daybreak, and down in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss player from the team fnatic. Winner of the first game, it's Oz. And his opponent here in the upper right-hand corner is our red Protoss player from Dream Team Gaming. It is Master E. No, not the annoying champ from LoL, it's just Master E.
We'll see if he can use some of his ability power and get his way back to tying the series up. This is this is Daybreak. Much larger map, and it's notoriously worse for Blink Stalker. It's actually a lot more catered towards...
terrible.
Yeah, it's much more catered towards, you know, macro-oriented play. But that said, aggression is still entirely possible, and if you end up falling behind, this is the map a lot of times we see players actually do take a lot of damage from, you know, maybe taking a Nexus too quickly or something of that nature, and can find themselves canceled, force fielded in their base, and then suddenly you have to make a Colossus and make your all-in push away across the map. It's not uncommon. We'll see if we see it here. All
right, yeah. I definitely agree with you, though. We'll see what ends up popping up, but we have seen some very interesting builds here recently in PvP. Some players have been choosing to go for some unconventional timings, too, just to kind of disrupt the normal flow of things and try and get in there when those expansions are just going up. And we can see already both players scouting for proxies. They're very good on this map. There's a lot of room to be able to hide those, so I'm glad to see that both players are taking the precautions necessary to make sure they're safe.
And, Oz is going to be scouting a little bit less for that proxy than his opponent, so maybe a little more confident that if he is facing a proxy 2-Rax and it's not in one of the ideal locations, aka the natural expansion or within the main base itself, and, you know, if it's further away, it's obviously going to be weaker. The Zealots will have to travel a further distance, and that will give Oz the necessary time to defend. Master E, on the other hand, did a very comprehensive scout, checking all the way down, even into the third.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see here what he's going to do now that he has pretty good information as to what his opponent's up to and knows that there's no proxies. His Master E gets continued check around here. Second gas coming up for both players after Cybernetics Core is on the way. There we go. Pops up for Master E as well.
Really cool. Did you see what Oz did there? Master E was harassing in the gas line, and Oz actually had a probe about to spawn from the Nexus, you know, and he set the rally point to the left-hand side, so he didn't actually have to pull a probe off of minerals and delay any mining time. Instead, he used the probe that had just popped out. Small attention to detail there, but something I've never actually taken note of.
Awesome when players are good enough to use Exodus APM. Most of the time, I would just forget, and then I'd have 12 rally probes sitting right there after a couple of minutes, because that's what happens with me. So.
All right, so now Oz is going to get his way into the main base of Master E, and there is actually a Stalker about to pop out here, so the timing, well, he'll be able to sack this probe and actually get the information on the gas timings and the Stalker itself.
Yeah, he's just clicked the gases now, so he knows how much is left, and everything works out pretty well for him.
This probe gets out, it deserves to be in the Guinness Book.
Yes, but unfortunately, there it dies. Yeah, so I mean, no probes buried in each other's bases. Sometimes that's a strategy you'll see here too. Just bury a probe really quickly because there are so many open spaces and the mains are very large. It is possible to hide pylons in there and try and get in with a quick 4-gate.
Oz's sentry going to be a little bit later as his gas timings have been slower. On the other hand, Master E with a Stalker and a sentry on the map is going to have a little bit of map control here as he's wandering around. Now, if we take a look at the units that Oz has created, he has only opted for a Zealot and a sentry, actually. So he is really not going to be, you know, maneuvering, pushing out across, and will be a little more in the dark. We'll see if he opts to use these units to allow him to get, you know, a little bit faster Immortal, maybe go for a faster expansion. Curious to see what he does with it.
This is a variation of actually what he did in the last game. You remember the last one, he decided to go double gas before Cybercore and went for very quick Twilight Council. In this case, he's still going to get a very similar unit composition. It looks like we're going to see Sentries, Zealots, Immortals like we were talking about before. Of course, he'll get the Observer first to make sure he gets vision on his opponent, but not emphasizing that super early gas.
Now, the Nexus has gone down for Master E. He is going to be expanding. We'll see if Oz follows suit in a moment. As you know, we were kind of speculating here, but with that fast second gateway, it makes it a little less likely that it's going to happen so quickly. It's a little more middle of the road coming from Oz, in fact. He's going to play it safer, doesn't want to be caught off guard. Master E, on the other hand, he's playing with a relative amount of greed here, which, well, is it a testament to his desire to catch up, you know, and get into a situation where he has the advantage?
I don't know. Well, we'll certainly find out. I mean, Oz has got a pretty good read on what he's up to now.
Perfect read, yeah.
Yeah, just got in with another scout. He saw the timing of this Nexus. He also saw that there was another sentry that had just popped up, so his opponent was playing very defensive for the time being. And now we're finally going to see more gateways added on. A total of 3, along with Immortals being produced out of this robotics facility here for Master E.
But Oz has gone into double Stargate, actually. And, I mean, that's a really, really smart play with the fact that he saw 3 sentries and a robotics facility. You know, if you roll in there with a bunch of Phoenix, it's the easiest thing in the world to pick up a bunch of units that are sitting on the ground like sentries and Immortals. All those will become completely irrelevant.
I'd love to see like 3 Phoenixes in a void rate too, so that'd be very fun. Oh, Observer gets away. It does not actually get far enough to the left though to see these Stargates. Incredibly important to mention because if this double Stargate is scouted, of course Master E will be able to much more aptly prepare for it, get himself Twilight Council, Stalkers, non-stop Stalkers, and he would of course not want to be going for this Robotics Bay, as the only things you're going to be making with a Robotics Bay on your hands will be shooting down at the ground. All right, well, looks like them over. Does Oz see the Observer? He does! Is it going to get far enough, though? It falls before it gets to the Stargates once again. Now, Master E's got to be wondering to himself a little bit, too, because that Stalker-Observer combo does happen in a lot of games, but Oz was really concerned about that. He really didn't want to be scouted. But I don't think that you would expect a double Stargate. Even if you're expecting something crazy to be coming out of Oz, maybe it's a huge gateway attack. You know, maybe it's Dark Templar. We could see another Observer made here after this Colossus is finished. But anticipating double Stargate is very difficult, even with the fancy attempt we've seen from Oz to hide his info. Okay, 4 Phoenixes making their way out, and is this, okay, it does actually, the Stalker does have control of the Xel'Naga Tower here, but it's not going to be close enough to see these 4 Phoenixes, and this is going to do a lot of damage. Yes, it is. He's going to get in plenty of economic damage. 4 probes will immediately go down. He's going to make his way. Oh, the Colossus spawns. There is next to no anti-air here. Only 2 Stalkers. Will the Phoenix be able to kill the Colossus? It's getting dangerously low, and that Colossus is going down, Kevin. Bye-bye. And that is well worth the 2 Phoenixes there. 4 probes and a Colossus for 2 Phoenixes. Yeah, he'll trade for that any day. Oh, and he's got 2 Stargates, so he's not even remotely worried about production time, whereas Master E, on the other hand, he's only got 1 Robo. Colossus takes extremely long time to make. Fantastic trade for Oz. Oh, yeah. Snags another probe on the way out, too. Joining this with 2 more Phoenixes at a time. He's going to be able to up that count as we move along. They're, are they being chrono boosted? Oh, man. Not right now, but that's still 6 Phoenixes, and they're going to hit before the second Colossus hits the ground. Oz is following this up with another gateway. That's going to take him to a total of 3 gateways and a Robo, I believe. He's making Immortals. He's getting ready for a follow-up push here, and it's going to be extremely frightening because he's going to be able to swing in a moment with these Phoenix and take out all these sentries that are on the ground. Okay, we'll see how much damage he can do here. It looks like everything is hiding inside of the mineral line, but of course, if he grabs any of those full energy sentries, that would be enormous, but doesn't even look like he's worried about that, just forcing a little bit of energy out of him, picking up some more probes, going to do some more damage to this Colossus, and then bounce away without losing any more Phoenixes. Yep, these Stalkers have no mobility right now. 2 are going to warp into the main, but that's not going to be enough damage. In fact, not even target firing. Master E didn't get the extra damage in on that one. May have potentially been able to kill it. That's right, and now let's take a look at overall supply. Let's see, we have a worker advantage for Oz. We have a slight quality of army advantage for him just because the 8 Phoenixes will be able to deal with the Colossus so quickly, but this is going to continue to steamroll for him. Yeah, Master E has to play it phenomenally perfect from here if he's going to manage to not fall to this push from Oz. I mean, he just, now he's being forced into making all these Stalkers. Oz, meanwhile, has been making tons and tons of Immortals, really capitalizing on the fact that Master E needs to make up for the lack of mobility with his Stalkers with numbers. A lot of times in this situation, you don't have to make that many Stalkers because you can be wherever the Phoenix are by blinking them around. But because Master E does not have Blink, he has to make enough Stalkers to cover both his main and his natural expansion. That is far more Stalkers than Master E wants to be making right now, and Oz is going to punish that. And here's the fun part about this army, too. He's going to have enough energy available that when this attack eventually happens, he's going to roll up there with those units that are almost as good as what his opponent has anyway, and then he's going to be able to pick up every single critical unit that could possibly stop what he has coming at him. Yeah, and he even just got vision of the Twilight Council, so, I mean, we're seeing him move into charge. This is pretty scary, Kevin. Oh, yeah. Blink is on the way right now, so that will lend a little bit of mobility, at least, to Master E, but he's already made, you know, far too many Stalkers. That's right, and the army gets larger and larger for Oz, who does have charge done here in just a bit. Actually going up to a robotics bay after that. We'll see if it's just going to be used for some fast Warp Prisms in the meantime, or if he is actually going to dedicate those to Colossus right away. Although I don't think he'd want to try and play catch-up there. He's probably just going to use them for drops.
That would make a lot of sense as, you know, he's going for the leg speed here. So even the third Nexus going down, things are actually making a lot more sense now for Oz. He knows that Master E can't push out. Master E pushes out. I mean, he's going to be dealing with a huge Immortal count. The Phoenix will be able to harry the forces the entire way. He'll kill off all the sentries. It'll be a huge pain, and he'll lose his economy behind it.
All right, so let's see here now is, yeah, I mean, I just the thought process you can see from Oz has been great the entire way. You pointed a lot of it out before, but the last thing that Master E's going to want in his super late game composition against what Oz is making are Stalkers, but he was forced into making so many of them that that's his really only option at this point. He's struggling to try and make anything else for now, as you can see him trying to put up a robotics facility and even expending more resources into photon cannons now.
This is going to allow him to move out, though. We were talking about how if he moved out, he'd lose his economy behind the push. The cannons will at least make that much more difficult for Oz, but you can micro around them to a certain extent. But one thing in Master E's favor on top of this is that he has started upgrades. If this game carries on for a long time, he's going to be ahead in that regard because his +1's almost completed.
Whoa, Phoenix getting very close to falling there. May see another blink up here in just a moment as Oz will actually have a little bit of trouble behind that mineral line if he... No, okay, it looks like he is going to be able to sneak on by, but the photon cannons are going to slowly start picking away at these.
Well, Oz is right in there. He will lose the shields, but not any Phoenix. Nice blink.
He did actually lose one. Yeah. And he lost one a while ago, so he was only running around with 7, but he did end up losing one, but still not the biggest loss for him.
Yeah, not at all. For Colossus right now, Phoenix are getting taken out. Oz really wants to hold on to these Phoenix. I mean, actually, let's take a look at the number of workers that have been killed throughout this game. It's definitely been very high, 22. In fact, and we can see that in the supply difference. It's quite close to that, actually.
All right, well, those last 4 Phoenixes are making their way away. We have a large roving pack of Stalkers that definitely doesn't want to find this force up here to the front.
Well, Master E's getting a lot of Colossi, and this is going to work out great for him. I mean, his Colossus count's huge, but he's losing a lot of units right now, not very cost-effectively. Actually, the supply, though, is evening out quite substantially as so many Phoenix have died over the last minute or two.
That's true, but the army is still very, very strong for Oz, who now has to back up a little bit as Master E's starting to push out towards this this little pocket base here in the middle. But don't forget, Oz has been sitting off of a 4th base for a little while now. You can see he's already mined about 400 gas from that, and the other resources starting to move up, and it looks like he's going to full-on engage this. Guardian Shield's dropping down on both sides, but of course Archons can charge right through the middle of those force fields like they're not even there at all, and the Phoenixes are continuing to punish these Colossi as they move back.
This might be enough. This is very neck and neck, but Master E has an overwhelming Colossus count, and he still has the upgrade advantage. But it doesn't look like he's going to go in right now, and if he waits, he's going to lose that upgrade advantage because +1 is almost complete for Oz. However, Master E's +2 is near completion as well. I really like the upgrade advantage that Master E is currently holding on to. Now he's getting out some Immortals. That's going to give him more tanky ground units that will be able to, support these Colossi. I am not counting Master E out of this by any regard right now because it's tough to call who's in the better position at this time.
You talked about, though, the lack of Immortals or suggesting that getting Immortals would give him a little bit tankier position. I think that's what held him back before from being able to just commit fully because the Colossi were only protected by Stalkers at that moment. And so
which just get shredded by Immortals.
Exactly. And had Oz had the position to engage with his Archons and his Immortals a little bit farther up, that would have actually neutralized the superior Colossus count. So a good decision by Master E to fall back. But it's kind of a catch-22 because as soon as he falls back, Oz starts to catch up in Colossi, and he starts to catch up in other ways too.
Yep, and he's way ahead in tech. I mean, he's already got a lot of Archons in this composition, and his 3rd is far more saturated than Master E. So now that the game is, carrying on a little bit, he's getting further and further ahead, Oz that is, as Master E is just now completing that Templar Archives. +2 did finish, though, and Oz has yet to start his. In fact, he starts at the 2nd that Master E's completes, but Master E's just now getting his assimilators at his 3rds. Oz's have been running for many, many minutes at this time.
Oh boy, and this is not good for Master E. He runs up with a few Stalkers, and he's going to need a collapse on this army. He does a nice job at picking off the Zealots that were running off to the side, but now his army is split, and it's going to be pretty easy for Oz to engage on just one side of this or the other.
Master E tried to go back around through his natural expansion in order to join forces back together. That's not something he could afford to do. The second he tries to do that, Oz is going to push in here. He's going to kill this 3rd. He's going to pull out. So he's coming down from the back right now. This is going to be basically a guillotine maneuver. We'll see if he can pull it off. The third falls. Now Oz is free to pull back. He's going to come in from the back with the Immortals. Nice target fire on the Colossus, and he's spreading his units fairly well, getting in a lot of damage. This is definitely tough to call. A lot of Immortals still on the ground, though, for Mastery, and all that's left now for Mastery is nothing but Stalkers and Colossi, which will be shredded by those Immortals.
Yeah, we talked about the power of the Immortal in this unit composition before, and we just showed why that was the case and how much damage they were able to soak up the entire time. So Oz comes out of that at almost exactly the same supply he was at before, maybe slightly ahead even of where he was at, but he kills a base at the same time, and that's what's important.
Oh, I mean, it definitely is going to be the deciding factor as this game carries on.
Oh, well, Oz really has to watch out, though, and make sure he doesn't get too far ahead with these Colossi. It looks like he may lose one here. No, a great re-engagement. Perfect kiting with the Colossi, and he actually keeps that one alive with just 24 hit points, and now Master E's being pushed back again.
He is. I'm surprised he didn't finish the volley on that, because it wouldn't have cost him the Colossi in the back. They were all full hit points, but now we're in a situation where Oz has he's just killed 3 Archons of Mastery. He's going to be able to move in here and maybe secure the win.
Yeah, now he's up by 3 Colossi. Now he's got a vastly superior ground force apart from that. He's got a better economy. Everything is hitting for him at the moment.
Oz is such a strong player, really evidencing it here in these first 2 wins as he's looking like he's going to secure this one, barring any major throw. He is poised to take it as only a couple Colossus remain here on the field for Master E. Oz is preparing to push up the ramp, killing tons of probes.
Oh yeah, now he's almost double the supply of his opponent. 106 to 50 and falling now for Master E. There's GG, and fnatic Oz is taking game number 2 of this best of 9.
And he's looking off to a fantastic start here. We'll see who DTG is going to throw out next in order to face it.
It's going to be
as you type it out.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. As I'm putting it out there, but we still try and... they just keep throwing in Protoss players. Yeah. Haven't they learned by now that Oz is really good in PvP?
Hey, you mentioned earlier his brash confidence in the matchup. Guys, we'll be back after a quick commercial break. Thank you so much for tuning in today. While we cut to this break, why don't you jump on over to go.ign.com/DiceIPL. Take a look at that sweet little website.
Yeah.
I had it right? DiceIPL.
Yes,
Dice.
you are correct. It's go.ign.com/DiceIPL. We got a 4-man invitational in Las Vegas next week.
Yep.
It's going to be... Now, unfortunately, Violet had some visa complications and won't be able to attend the event, so we put in the former Quantic player Illusion to take his place. So we're going to have Illusion, we're going to have Caronte Lucifron, Acer Scarlet, and Grubby competing for 10 grand live at the Hard Rock Hotel. So head out there, and tickets are absolutely free at go.ign.com/DiceIPL. And if you go to the event, we'll even give you a free ticket to IPL 6 at the same time.
I don't understand why that's happening, Kevin.
It just defies logic.
I mean, IPL 5 was voted the esports event of the year, and we're just giving away tickets to IPL 6.
Yeah, and at IPL 6, we're going to have a giant Wings of Liberty tournament. We're going to have IPTL finals, and we're going to have an open bracket and a giant Heart of the Swarm event. Seems pretty good. I think I'd want free tickets to that.
Yeah. And you get them for going to a tournament.
I know.
Another what world is this that is esports?
Another free tournament.
What? We'll see you after this commercial break, folks. DTG is down 0-2. We'll see if they can fight it back against fnatic.